Hello and welcome to another episode of India Global. I'm Gauri Dwivedi. Over the course of the next 30 minutes, I get you all the stories that matter to the global Indian. But first up, we start with the headlines. Home Minister Amit Shah confirms the 3 terrorists killed in Operation Mahadev were involved in the Pahalgam terror attack.
जिन्होंने बेसरन घाटी में हमारे प्रवासियों को, नागरिकों को मारा था, ये तीनों आतंकवादी ये थे और तीनों मारे गए.
US President Donald Trump breaks with Israel on the Gaza hunger issue. Donald Trump says that Gaza is experiencing real starvation, contrary to what Israel has been saying so far. India-Pakistan match in Asia Cup 2025 stirs a huge political row as the government discusses Operation Sindoor in Parliament. Many are asking if sport and terror can actually happen together. US President Donald Trump attacks a nasty London mayor. UK PM Keir Starmer defends Pakistan origin Sadiq Khan, says he's a friend of mine, but raises fresh tensions between the US and UK. And yet another instance of India's ascent. Indian manufacturing outshines China, overtakes China in smartphone exports to the US. Top story on the show, viewers. US President Donald Trump has urged Israel to allow every ounce of food into Gaza as he acknowledged for the very first time that there is real starvation taking place in the region. During a visit to Britain, the US President, in fact, contradicted Israeli Prime Minister after Benjamin Netanyahu claimed that it was a bold-faced lie to say that Israel was causing hunger in Gaza. Trump is under increasing pressure to intervene in the humanitarian crisis, with dozens of Palestinians having died of hunger in recent weeks. In a crisis that is being attributed by the UN and other humanitarian organizations to Israel's blockade of almost all aid entering into the territory. And in fact, let's play out shorter soundbite of Donald Trump. We come back and discuss more in greater detail, viewers.
Well, I want them to make sure they get the food. I want to make sure they get the food, every ounce of food. I think you want the same thing.
The big questions that we're asking on the show. First up, why do Netanyahu and Donald Trump differ on something as significant as which way is Gaza going, and particularly with regard to aid? The second big question that we're asking on the show: will recent aid inflow mitigate the situation that exists right now in Gaza, given the fact that the territory has been under relentless onslaught by the Israeli attacks, even as questions remain as to how long will Hamas allow this to happen? Next up, will Israel buckle under American pressure? That's a question that many have been asking, simply because at the end of the day, Donald Trump has been asking for some sort of a closure to this war that's been going on. That hasn't happened so far. Will this allow America to get that leverage over in Benjamin Netanyahu? Let's get in Omer Anas, who's joining us for more on this. He is a Middle East expert. Expect him to be unbiased and fair on this and not be speaking on one side of the issue. That's the hope, Mr. Anas, as you joined me live from Turkey. In terms of the situation that's unfolding right now in Gaza, one is the humanitarian aspect of it. The second is the fact that it does allow Donald Trump a bit of leverage, doesn't it, in terms of how he wants to end this crisis going forward?
Thank you very much. What is happening right now in Gaza and the way the Middle Eastern countries, especially Saudi Arabia, has taken an initiative to get Palestine recognized as a state by European countries, especially by France, has unsettled the Trump administration, because there is a clear departure between the European countries and the United States. And that is the biggest challenge for them. That is the real source of worry for Trump administration, and that is why Trump has clearly differed from Netanyahu on the issue of relief for Gazan people. What I think is that right now it is not about Palestine, it is about Netanyahu. As long as Netanyahu is in power in Israel, I think that there is no solution in sight for the Palestinian crisis. And there will come a day for the Trump administration when the Trump administration will clearly say that the solution can be done without Netanyahu.
It's also one thing to say that there is a humanitarian crisis, but to also label all of it on the door of Israel is also something that needs to be investigated in detail, isn't it? Because at the end of the day, Hamas is also, many say, exploiting Gaza right now and ensuring that the entire conflict gets prolonged instead of ending it.
Anyone who is watching television and the scenes from Gaza or any pictures from Gaza, they have complete common sense that Hamas is not in control of Gaza. It is Israel, it is Netanyahu, it is Israeli forces who are responsible for each and every action, each and every...
What about the hostages? Return the hostages, the war ends tomorrow.
And they, all the hostages which are in control of Hamas people, they are either in underground or they are in hideouts. So Hamas is not on the ground.
No, it can be wherever. The fact is, it is still sitting with those hostages, not releasing those hostages and allowing the war to extend. Why is Hamas not releasing all the hostages? The war will end.
Hamas, I think that has expressed its willingness to release all the hostages more than once. Even
at conditions which are a deal breaker, sir. At conditions which are a deal breaker. Anyhow, the last thing I want to ask you again, you are a Middle East expert. Let's try and be dispassionate about it and give a reasonable and reasoned argument. My final question to you is, how do you see this if aid is extended, aid is allowed, even there are many versions as to whether Israel is actually stopping the aid or not, even if Israel completely makes sure that more aid is there, the starvation of Gaza stops as is being perceived, how long do you think before this war actually ends?
As long as Netanyahu is there, there is no possibility of this war to end.
Okay, let's leave it there. As I said at the beginning of the discussion, I hope that you are unbiased. Not a word has come out in terms of Hamas, the fact that it is still holding on to those hostages, why that is the reason why this war actually started, and that's the reason why it's still continuing. Let's leave it for another day. Let's hope that you are a Middle East expert and not just an expert on one side of the story. Well, bottom line, viewers, as far as this issue is that there are two aspects to what is happening right now in Gaza. One is the humanitarian aspect. Even there are experts who say that there is not a blockade that is being done by Israel. Even if that is the case, humanitarian aspect is one side of this war. Second is that how is it that Donald Trump feels that he's going to end this war? This leverage that he may have over Israel, over Netanyahu right now, with the aid issue could probably be that window of being able to provide some sort of a breakthrough to end this war. The grinding war has been going on since 7th of October 2023. It will end when the hostages are released, but the leverage that Donald Trump is seeking right now over Netanyahu could probably provide that breakthrough. Remains to be seen how soon that will happen. Turning attention now to the other big story that we are tracking on the show. Well, Donald Trump says he would shorten the deadline for Russia to reach a ceasefire deal with Ukraine. The US president last month gave Moscow 50 days until the 3rd of September to end the war. But he now plans to cut short that timeline to just about 10 days, maybe 12, which is less than a fortnight. Trump has threatened sanctions on Russia and secondary tariffs on its trading partners if no deal is reached. Penalties that could further imperil the Russian economy and derail Washington's trade negotiations with India and China. Trump's remarks, which were met with hope in Ukraine, reflects his growing frustration with Russian president, even as former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev has called Trump's new deadline an additional step towards war. I want to first play out what Donald Trump really said. We come back and talk more on this.
Any questions?
Earlier you said that you were going to change the deadline from 50 days.
Yeah, I'm going to make a new deadline of about 10 or 12 days from today. There's no reason in waiting. There's no reason in waiting. It's 50 days. I want to be generous, but we just don't see any progress being made.
All right, turning attention now to the other important story on the show. Thailand and Cambodia's military commanders have held talks today as calm returns to their disputed border. As per reports, displaced residents have started coming back to their home states and to their home areas in the hope that things go back to normal. The Southeast Asian neighbors announced a truce to end the 5 days of conflict. Thai and Cambodian leaders met in Malaysia on Monday and agreed to a ceasefire deal to halt their deadliest conflict in more than a decade. It's killed 40 people. Most of them are civilians. It's displaced 300,000 across both the countries. And that is something that remains to be seen as to whether it will survive or not. Viewers, it's important to know that India is the third largest provider of tourists to Thailand, one of the largest in terms of tourism earnings after China and Malaysia, which is why these countries are regularly visited by India and Indians, which is why the peace coming to this region is so very important for us. Turning attention now to the other important story, Assam police have deported 20 Bangladeshi infiltrators back into the neighbouring country from Shribhumi district. Chief Minister Hemanta Biswa Sarma said Assam is home for all Indians, not for illegal foreigners, trying to alter the state's demography. He also added that Assam will not tolerate illegal immigrants. This comes as Assam has claimed that over 370 illegal immigrants have been pushed back into Bangladesh in recent months, and the state government is committed to an infiltration-free Assam. All right, viewers, on that note, a quick break. We return on the other side with more stories on India Global. Stay with us. Viewers, it's now time to look at a story, an issue that reverberates across every Indian. India is a cricket-loving country. We feel very strongly, passionately about cricket. But we also feel strongly about whether we should now play with Pakistan or not. Well, that's what it looks like, that there is an upcoming India-Pakistan clash that will take place in the Asia Cup. And many are asking that this is going to take place on the 14th of September, just 5 months after the deadly terror attack in Pahalgam. Now, the high-stakes group stage match is often dubbed cricket's fiercest rivalry. It was confirmed in the Asia Cup 2025 schedule that was released a short while back, but the announcement has triggered an opposition pushback, reflecting the general public sentiment to boycott Pakistan over its terror nexus. Raising the matter is many Indians, and there are several politicians as well. But this is not about politics. This is about every Indian who feels passionately about the game, but also passionately about the fact that why is it that we should play with a country that continues to fund, sponsor, abet and train terrorists, sending them to India. Let's get you the big questions, and then we get in General Dawa for more on this as well. The big questions that we're asking is first and foremost, where does India really draw the line when it comes to Pakistan? Secondly, is it ethical for India to play against Pakistan in a cricket match? Thirdly, how long will Pakistan-sponsored terror affect sports? What does India stand to gain from playing Pakistan? Let's play those big questions again, viewers. The first and foremost, the first big question that we are asking, where does India draw the line with Pakistan? That's the first question. Second question that we are asking is, should terror and sport happen together? That's the biggest issue. Should India be playing with a country that continues to fund terrorists into Indian territory? The third key question that we are asking, what does India really stand to gain from playing with Pakistan? What is in it for us? We are the world's most successful cricketing country. Our BCCI is the most successful cricketing body in the world. What is it that we stand to gain when we play with Pakistan? That's the question that we are asking. Let's get in General Dawa, who's joining me on the broadcast for more on this. General Dawa, every Indian loves cricket, but we are also very passionate about the game and equally passionate about the fact that should we be playing with Pakistan right now?
Gauri, thank you for having me on the show. I know this is an emotive issue because cricket is like religion in our country. So it is important that everyone has a point of view on it. But I allow me to just express my point of view. As a soldier, I feel that if we are at a stage with Pakistan where we've just had this dastardly I would call it crime rather than a terror attack in Pahalgam, where we've had Operation Sindoor, where across the line of control there was firing and many lives were lost to Pakistan army's shelling, where our civilians and soldiers alike are at the brunt of terrorist killings or terrorist violence. So I feel that under these circumstances, we should not be playing cricket with Pakistan. Let me just give me a minute more. Because I don't know where your first question that you flashed, the first question, where do we draw the line? Because if you talk of cricket today, tomorrow, then what's wrong in having music concerts?
Sir, tomorrow it will be movies, day after it will be something else.
That's exactly what I said, music concerts.
How can you continue movies, like that? Yes,
go
ahead, sir.
Some other exchanges, peaceful exchange. There are many bodies. I understand that we as people relate very much to each other. My own father has come from what is now in Punjab, which is now in Pakistan. I can relate to people. I meet people otherwise. But as a country, we need to draw a line somewhere. And as a soldier, I feel that when we are losing lives on the borders and in the hinterland to Pakistan army or Pakistan state-sponsored terrorism, I think we should draw a line. Just like we say, terror and talks don't go together. I think we should also draw a line as sports.
Exactly.
Let's not
sports
play
and
games
terror cannot go together. And that's the second question I've actually asked, which is that can sport and terror actually go together? And sir, this is at a time when we've just successfully concluded Operation Mahadev. And Pahalgam terror attack had probably one of the most sharpest impact on the conscience of this country in recent times. The terror attack left the nation scarred because of the way it was carried out. And in the wake of that, how is it that we are okay with playing Pakistan just because it's a neutral country? We go to a neutral location and it suddenly becomes okay.
So, you see, Gauri, let's just go back into the past. I was commanding officer. I was a colonel then when the Kargil war took place, the Kargil conflict took place. I was deployed. My battalion was on the line of control. When Kargil conflict broke out, India and Pakistan were playing some series, I forget which. There were some matches going on. And then also, there was a lot of hue and cry about this. And I think a match or two were played after conflict had been joined. And then it had been called off. So the point is, you asking me as a soldier, I mean, I'm sure informed citizens can make up their own mind. But as a soldier, how do I explain it? We are very emotive about it. How do I explain it to the family or the kin of somebody who lost their son or their husband to the terrorist bullet or to the firing or exchange across the LOC? How do you explain it to them while they've lost their breadwinner, the family is in gloom, and we continue to play cricket? And then, like we said earlier, tomorrow it could be other things.
Indeed, sir. Tomorrow it could be anything. And also, do you think that for a country that is so passionate about cricket, this seems almost counterintuitive, doesn't it? That we love our sport so much, and it's our national passion, so to say. But we feel so strongly about it, just like we feel so strongly about Pakistan.
But I think everything, the national security should be of prime importance, and we should give importance to that one dimension, overriding others. Like, it makes sense to have different exchanges with Pakistan in different dimensions. It makes sense to, for example, anyone would argue that we must talk with Pakistan. Why don't we resolve things? We must, every other country which is in conflict with each other is talking to each other. But then our government has taken a stand, and rightfully so, that terror and talks won't go together. Blood and water cannot flow down the same rivers. So if that cannot flow together, so if that is going to happen, then here I think it's a very logical conclusion that we should stop playing, not only playing games, but even movies, other kind of cultural soft exchanges should not take place.
Absolutely. I'm going to leave it there, General Dawa. Thanks so much for joining me on the show, and I share every bit of what you said in my view as well. In fact, that's the bottom line, viewers, which is that when Russia and Ukraine conflict started, it broke out 2022 February. Russian athletes were banned from playing all major, in fact, all global tournaments. They were singled out and excluded because the world felt that Russia needs to pay and therefore Russian athletes need to pay. And which is why across all sporting platforms, Russian athletes were banned. And that's generally what the sentiment is. But here, while we are saying that terror and trade cannot go together, water and terror cannot flow together, sport and terror can. That's the big irony here. That's the big dichotomy. And what needs to now be also kept in mind, it starts slow with sport, it then goes on to movies, then it goes on to other entertainment avenues, and soon the Aman Ki Asha Brigade is out there completely in open, once again batting for let's start talks once again. This is a slippery slope, and where do we draw that line is the key question. All right, shifting focus now to the other story. Well, US President Donald Trump hit out at London's Mayor Sadiq Khan once again, calling him nasty at a news conference in Scotland. Standing next was UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, who interjected that Khan was his friend, but doubling down on his view of Khan, who's actually of Pakistan origin, someone who's come under tremendous attack because of the way London City and its nature and an entire complexion has actually changed in the last decade. London itself has seen tremendous amount of anti-Semitic acts that have taken place ever since the Hamas war broke out. All of that has actually landed solely on Sadiq Khan's desk. He is being held responsible for letting London down in the wake of the attacks that have taken place since then. And in fact, listen in to what US President Donald Trump said and that exchange that followed with UK PM Keir Starmer, who continues to think that Sadiq Khan is doing a great job, even if London's fallen quite literally.
Will you go to London, or are you worried it's no longer about?
About what?
Will you visit London during the state visit?
I will. I'm not a fan of your mayor.
Why not?
I think he's done a terrible job, the mayor of London. But the nasty person, I think he's done. I think he's
a friend of mine, actually.
No, I think he's done a terrible job. But I would certainly visit London. Yeah.
Terrible job because of the anti-Semitic acts that Sadiq Khan hasn't stopped. Shifting focus now to an India ascends story, viewers. India has officially overtaken China to become the top exporter of smartphones to the US, reflecting the major change that has taken place in manufacturing supply chains away from Beijing amidst tariff-fueled uncertainty. Now, smartphones that are assembled in India account for 44% of American imports of these devices in the second quarter, and a significant jump up from just 13% in the same period last year. That's been the rise that has taken place for India-manufactured smartphones headed to the US. And the total volume of smartphones that are made in India soared to 40% from a year earlier. And this is the major impact that has happened as far as manufacturing is concerned. All right. Well, viewers, newcomers Ahan Pandey and Aneet Padda's Sayyara continues its dream run at the box office. The film has crossed 350 crore rupee milestone at the worldwide box office. In the meantime, it has also emerged as Bollywood's second highest grossing film of 2025. I haven't seen the movie so far. Hopefully, it is resonating with a lot of Indians around the world. I'll leave you with those shots.